Welcome back to MR Adventures. Very different kind of video. Not up a mountain or in the forests. We are in my garden. A lot of people have asked me about my Welsh 3000 challenge and the kit that I took, the route that I took, and rather than answering the same questions 100 times, I thought I'd just put it all in a video. I said I was going to anyway. So today we're going to go through the kit that I took with me, what I did to plan, and the top 5 tips that I think anyone should know before attempting the Welsh 3000 or any other solo multi-day expedition. But before we do that, let's have a recap on what the first day on the Welsh 3000 looked like. Welsh 3000. All of the Munros in Wales, one after the other. Fair few of them, it's 15. I've got 3 days to do it. Snowing done. Next one done. Already slightly sketchy walk, going sketchier. Crib lock done.
That's not a bad view out of the bedroom. Till tomorrow.
Okay, so I am the king of unplanned adventures and being spontaneous and getting lost. If you're attempting something like the Welsh 3000, you sort of do need to plan it. So my best advice is to read or watch YouTube videos, doesn't have to be mine, on similar activities, similar routes, similar what you're doing. A great one for any sort of multi-day mountain expedition, I'd say step-by-step manual to mountaineering and trekking around the world, and then some local travel guides as well. This one is Snowdonia's Mountain Walks and Scrambles by Mark Reeves. A spot-on guide to absolutely everything that you'll find up there. And then on top of all of that, what you must have and should look at before you leave for any sort of walk or expedition is a map of the area you're going into. The other bit of advice when route planning is definitely have a couple of scouting days where you can just go up there on a little day trip and look at the area that you're going to be going into. The Carnival group, the last day, was fresh to me, and that started to come up with all sorts of problems when the visibility was really poor. I didn't know exactly where the next peak was going to be. I just had to trust my map reading skills with 10 meters of visibility. And if you've watched my YouTube channel, you know my sense of direction isn't the best. Next thing you need to know is exactly what you're going to take. The clothes you're wearing, the kit that you've got on you, is going to be some of the most important to you. Yeah, if you don't have the right clothes on, then it doesn't matter what you have in here, you're going to be miserable. So first of all, boots. I am a huge fan of boots, and these have helped support me and potentially save my life on numerous occasions. Twisted my ankle on the Welsh 3000 on the second day. If I didn't have these really good boots, I might not have finished it. So these are the Salomon Quest 4 Gore-Tex boots, pretty much waterproof. The label says water resistant, but I've never had water coming in. Nice stiff bottom to the boot as well. Yeah, having a stiff sole makes climbing and scrambling a lot easier. So invest in boots. That's your key one. Trousers. These are Revolution Race trousers. They've got loads of different types, but just nice and hard wearing, elastic and breathable. These ones are extra fancy because they have ventilation on the side. Ooh, cheeky leg. It makes a world of difference. It really does. In terms of your clothing, layers. Your base layer, the one touching your skin, doesn't need to be anything fancy. Just a simple sports top. I call it a sports top. Some of the stuff that's like lets the sweat escape your body. If you're wearing like a cotton top or a wool top, you're gonna sweat. You're gonna sweat loads. That top is gonna become really difficult to stay warm in, especially at night. So a nice wickaway top, and then I always wear these quarter zip fleeces because they're just so warm. They're incredibly lightweight. They're warm even when they're wet for some reason, because these aren't expensive at all. This is a Regatta Outdoors, which I won the Welsh 1000, and it's spot on. It was under £10. I think you can get 2 of these for £10. So yeah, I've got a couple of these, and then lots of other things like hats, sunglasses as well. All these things you should have basically on you, ready to go. When you're putting together a kit list, it's important to remember the 5 frees, I call them in my head. So you can last 3 weeks without food, you can last 3 days without water, 3 hours without warmth or shelter, 3 minutes without oxygen, 3 seconds without hope. So really the 3 important things that we need to think about: warmth and shelter, water, and food. So talking about shelter, let's start off with tents. Now I used the MSR Hubba Hubba NX 2-person tent. This is a lovely lightweight tent, which packs down really small, and I keep that, as you saw, clipped to the outside of the bag, which was an issue. Having it on the outside of the bag made scrambling a lot harder, because it created that extra little lip to try and sort of shuffle off of rocks. So, I mean, the bag itself got a few tears in it, but the actual tent itself I checked is completely fine. Now on, especially for this one, this expensive one, I'm going to keep that inside the bag. Lesson learned. So that's 10. So on the outside I have got a mug, lightweight. It's got a little caliper on it, so I can just clip it onto the outside of the bag, easy access, and makes life so much more pleasant. And then again on the outside I have a Sea to Summit lightweight spork. Creature comforts, keep spirits high. I have got a sit mat here, so it just folds out and you can sit on it. Keeps your bum dry. I normally kept it in the vestibule of the tent. When I'm getting in and out, I've got somewhere to put my feet so that my socks and my feet don't get wet or muddy. It gives me somewhere to sit as well. And then on the outside, big litre Nalgene bottle. These are really, really good, because if you get really cold, you can always boil up some water, put them in here, and you've got yourself a nice hot water bottle. Wide spout as well, easy to fill up and easy to empty. Useful. This, I'm going to spend a hot minute on this, right? Cheap and effective walking pole. I cannot stress to you enough how underrated and underused these are, especially by younger people. Even on the more technical bits of scrambling, coming downhill, you've got somewhere you can lean and put your pole whilst you're trying to get down or across those sketchier crevices and nooks and stuff. So if you don't have one and you don't think you need one, trust me, you'll want one. I really like this one because you don't need to fold it and then click it. It's literally just a twist and it's folded and nice and easy to put away when you need both your hands for whatever you're doing. Alright, let's go inside the bag. Let's do the top lid first. So, water filter. This is a Catadine B3 water filter. Fill that up from a stream or lake, screw that back on, and then you can either drink that directly if you want to risk it, or you can pour that out of there straight into your Jetboil just to purify it. So this is a filter, not a purifier. Some people get those confused. This will get rid of any debris, any bacteria, and other nasty stuff that might be floating around in your water, but it doesn't get rid of viruses. That's the one thing that no filter can get rid of. The only way to get rid of viruses is either chemically treating your water or boiling it. So I tend to just boil it because I don't like using the the tablets, they make water taste like arse. So, water filter. Personal admin kit is what I call it, but basically it's just hygiene. So we've got midge spray, toothpaste, wet wipes, deodorant, little towel as well, that always helps. This is a Life Systems Trek first aid kit with a lot of adjustments to it. So I'm not going to go into it now because there's quite a few adjustments I made to it to help it suit my needs. When you buy first aid kit, make sure that the stuff in it is suitable to what you need, okay? Because otherwise you're carrying it for the sake of carrying it. So if you don't know first aid, doesn't mean you shouldn't carry one of these. A lot of first aid that you need to do out in the wild, out mountains, are the minor first aid. So looking after blisters, cuts, scrapes, that kind of thing. And that just takes a little bit of common sense, doesn't take any training. If you want to get a bit more advanced on your first aid, I do also have a tourniquet as well, which it weighs nothing, so that's why I carry it. Yeah. If I ever use this, I'm going to be very upset. Some of the survival and emergency first aid stuff that you carry in hope that you never have to use it. But I'd rather have it and never need it than need it and not have it. And then nice little head torch. Really cheap Eurohike head torch. I mean, just make sure you got batteries in there before you go. It's got a couple of different light settings and you can tilt it. But I used to not like head torches because they do not make me look stylish and they do nothing for my hairline. But so convenient having two hands available and still being able to see what you're doing at night. And that is all kept in the top pouch of here. On the under pouch, so in this netting here, I tend to keep my electrical stuff or my extreme valuables, so my car keys, my wallet, power banks and camera batteries all went in here. Main compartment. Right at the top we have a North Face Summit Series waterproof jacket, and this is your outermost layer. So if it starts raining or the wind gets heavy, you want a good raincoat. Looking for a good waterproof, then you want something with the underarm zipper ventilation. So there's the arm, and you've got this ventilation that covers the under the arms. And that's because if it's truly waterproof, it will trap all the moisture in you. So if you're walking or climbing, you will be sweating. And there's no point wearing a raincoat that doesn't have ventilation because you're just going to get wet from the inside rather than on the outside. So ventilation, I think, is absolutely key. Your outer layer, this is where I would recommend spending your money the most on. This is going to be the difference between being dry and being wet. And when you're wet, you're cold. When you're cold, you're miserable. So raincoat. Inside this dry bag is my down jacket. Well, synthetic down. Not a amazing high price jacket, but it does the job. Mountain Warehouse, again, nothing special. You've seen me wear it before. Really warm, keeps him warm at night. I don't tend to walk with this on because it does just get too hot. But because it's synthetic down, it's really bulky until you squeeze all the air out of it, and that's what I put it in the dry bag for. As well as if it gets really, really wet, or my bag gets wet, then at least I know that I've got a piece of clothing which is going to be incredibly warm and dry. Spare clothes. These are your camp clothes basically. So in here I would have my warm clothing, so I'd have warm hat, some dry warm socks, some gloves, some thermals, spare t-shirt, and I tell you what, getting changed after a day of hiking and climbing into some clean, nice smelling perfectly dry clothes, even if it's just a spare t-shirt, makes a world of difference. Food. I used a Jetboil Flash 2.0, something like that. You would have seen this already if you watched the series. Really good bit of kit this, really efficient, boils water in like 90 seconds, 100 seconds, something like that. So you just take that out, screw it on top of the nestled gas canister, put that on, all done, you're good to go. Okay, talked about how we are going to cook the food, but we haven't actually talked about the food, which is what this dry bag's for. I love dry bags just because, one, I know that everything inside the bag is going to be waterproofed in some way, and two, it compartmentalises everything, so I only get the stuff out that I need. Food is heavy, okay, for the most part all of food is heavy, but that's only because of the water that's in it. So easy way to get around this is dehydrated food. Something to eat. Not only is the brand name spot on, unbelievable pun, the food is actually really nice. All of them weigh around about 125 grams without the water, so carrying them is really easy, and the amount of energy that you get from just one of these, this one here has got 665 calories in it. Really simple. You just boil up water in your Jetboil and then pour it in there, wait 8 minutes, 10 minutes, and then good to eat. So I took 3 of these on my walk. I only had 2. The third one was more for emergencies. And then also in this food sack I would carry things like nuts really very calorie dense, porridge sachets in the mornings, and then just some really simple instant hot chocolate or coffees as well, and a spare gas canister which is full just in case that one ran out. I didn't want to have to then be stuck on a mountain with no food. So food is important to prep. Food, so that's food done. Alright, let's talk about sleep. So I slept on the Thermarest Neo Air X Lite. Really lightweight, inflatable sleeping mat. I'm denied about buying this for quite a while just because it is a bit more pricey than the other sleep systems that I've got, but it's incredibly warm, packs down small, and it's super lightweight. It's like sleeping up, well, it is sleeping on air, so really comfortable. So that's sleep. No, it's not. Sleeping bag. I make do with this. This is the OEX Fathom 3-season sleeping bag. So this one goes down to 1 degree worth of comfort and an extreme of -22. Now I've used this in -8 weather and it was cold. I wouldn't recommend using this in winter, but down to like late November really I'd probably still use this because it's not bulky. Like when it's fully compressed it packs down really small. Good sleeping bag this. So I'd normally have it like that, but compression you can make it a lot smaller. Alright, so that's sleeping bag. Okay, let's talk about bags. I freaking love this bag so much. This is the Osprey Kestrel 48 litre bag. It has got very comfortable straps, nice and thick, nice and padded. It's got very thick, big hip belt. It's got lots of small little features about it, like a whistle in the sternum strap, so I don't need to worry about carrying a whistle. Huge side pouches with reinforced bottoms. Bucket compartment there, fits everything you need in it. Nice large outer pouch as well, so I'd put my map in there, maybe camera equipment or my raincoat if it's been drizzling on and off. So I just stuff that in there so it's nice and easy to get to. It's got ice axe loops on it. It's got a very convenient walking pole holder, so that just goes into there through this reinforced little tab down there, and then that's nice and secure on your body without you having to hold onto it. A separate water reservoir slot, shall we say. So in here I have got my Osprey's Hydraulics Light 2.5 litres. The tube has got a magnetic clip on it, which you can then attach to any other part of the bag, wherever you see fit, wherever you find most comfortable. So it's not just dangling around. Huge points for this. And also it has a built-in rain cover. Nice bright colour, so if you get stuck, you can use it for signalling, but mainly protects the bag when it's raining, protects all your stuff. The one thing that I could have done with on my Welsh 3000 trip was potentially a slightly bigger bag, maybe 55, 60 litres. Other than that, outstanding bag. Osprey bags are excellent anyway. Other things that you should probably think about as well, which you might have on you. Phone case. So this is waterproof, shockproof, pretty solid and pretty lightweight as well. Nice slim design, and it just keeps your phone safe. But phones are bloody expensive nowadays, but also they can be a lifesaver, so make sure you look after them. Some more lighting options as well. This is an eye protect torch, pretty cheap. The inspector torch, pretty cheap pencil style torch, and that's got a nice little pocket clip on it as well, so I always keep that one in my pocket. Lastly, watch. I have got a G-Shock, Casio G-Shock watch, which is bloody bomb proof. Like I could have chucked this down a mountain and it would be fine. Some people love going for the Garmin watches or the Apple watches, which you really don't need. One thing I recommend whenever you're planning a trip or prepping a trip, if you've got new kit, or even if you use an old kit, make sure before you leave that you know how all your kit works in different conditions. So go into your garden, put your tent up in the rain and the sun, see how it works. Make sure you can fit all of your kit in your bag comfortably, and not so that you have to make it super neat and tidy, because when you're out there on a mountain or in the forest, if it's pissing down with rain, the last thing you want to be doing is faffing around trying to pack your bag neatly so that everything fits. Make sure you know your kit. And that brings us onto the top 5 tips, I guess. Top 5 tips, things that I wish I knew before I attempted my Welsh 3000 challenge. But before we get onto that, let's have a recap on what day 2 looked like.
Morning.
Oh, I made a damn! Quite literally, a dam. You gone? Done.
I'm shattered.
Glider foul. Done. Glider fuck's done. Adam and Eve, top of your fan. God knows how I managed to scale down that. The light has started to dim now. Night. Okay, as you can tell, I've moved inside now because it was absolutely tipping it down with rain. Well, it's sunny again. Bloody typical. Alright, top 5 tips I wish I'd known, and you guys should know before you attempt a multi-day expedition, especially if it's the Welsh 3000. Tip number 1, reduce your pressure. Okay, I didn't realise how much pressure I put on myself until that second day, where I just had a massive sulk next to a lake. Worst places to have a sulk, I guess. I put a lot of different pressures on myself to get certain amount of distance done in a certain amount of time, or if I wasn't quite how I wanted to be or where I wanted to be at a certain point, it basically ruined the trip for me. very early on. You need to remember that you're doing it for you and you're not doing it for any other reason. There's no pressure on you other than what you set yourself. For a multi-day expedition, it can be very draining to put that amount of pressure on yourself in prolonged periods of time. So reduce your pressure. Tip number 2, stop. Don't be afraid to stop and talk to people. When you're up in the mountains or out in the forest, if you see other hikers are the friendliest people in the world. They'll talk to anybody and they love hearing and sharing stories. One, it gives you a chance to stop, let your legs recover, gives you a chance to just have a moment and a breather. But 2, it distracts you. It fills you with confidence. You can learn local knowledge as well, and that's so invaluable. Lots of small stops, lots of regular breaks, absolutely 100% helped. Great example of this, it took me 3 days or 26 hours of walking from the first peak to the last peak to complete this challenge. The world record is 4 hours and 20 minutes. Is 4 hours and 20 minutes.
Is 4 hours and 20 minutes.
I have no idea how they did that. Doesn't take anything away from my challenge, doesn't add anything to theirs. Remember, you're doing it for you. Tip number 3, appreciate the lows. And I don't just mean low altitudes, because yeah, you should definitely appreciate those. The weather's way nicer at the bottom. And what I mean by that is, when you're doing multi-day expeditions or wild camping, especially up in the mountains, you put yourself under a lot of physical and mental stress, especially when you're solo. It's really easy to feel low when you've been climbing up a horrible slog of a mountain. It's so easy to just slip into, oh, I hate this. When you're solo, you need something that's going to keep you going. Okay, for me, that's something that kept me going, was not being afraid of those lows. Understanding that, yeah, I'm feeling low right now. Give it 20 minutes, let me have that stop that we just talked about. Give me 20 minutes and I'm going to bounce back. Okay, don't be afraid of the lows, don't try and run away from them, just let them come, because they'll, as easy as they come, they'll pass. Rule number 4, and this should just be a rule for all mountaineering, it doesn't have to be multi-day expedition: no unnecessary risks. Okay? Especially when it comes to scrambling. There are times where you're scrambling down a mountain. When you start taking unnecessary risks, that's when accidents happen. If you're by yourself, an accident could be the end of your trip. It could be the end of a lot more than just your trip if you take those unnecessary risks. So even if you think, oh yeah, I can jump that gap, or oh, I'm just going to reach a little bit further than I'm comfortable with, you're going to put yourself in unnecessary risk. So just stay safe out there by knowing your limits, knowing your abilities, and not pushing them to the point where it's far too much. I'd rather we take ages and have less time at camp, or we have to rush putting camp up because it's already dark, than taking unnecessary risks. So stay safe. Don't take risks that you really don't have to. Tip number 5, for any long challenge or big goal that you've got, you will know what this tip is if you've watched the 3 episodes of the Welsh 3000 on my channel. That tip is, everything takes time. It is a long challenge, the Welsh 3000. A long challenge. It's going to take a long time to do anything or get anywhere. I think that's one of the main reasons why I love doing stuff like this, because everything is so convenient and quick nowadays that you forget how long it actually takes to do anything. To travel long distances, I could have done that in 20 minutes in a car. On foot, it took me 3 days. Instead of, at the end of a long hike, you just pop inside and put some food on. You have to, put your tent up, sort your sleeping kit out, sort your own hygiene out, then start the food or find some water to source. It's going to take time. Okay, give yourself time to do that. And if you know it's going to take you time and you just take it one step at a time, you'll be able to achieve something incredible. You really will. All 5 of those tips I learned doing the Welsh 3000 challenge. So we've looked at day 1 and day 2. Let's have a look at day 3. Good morning. I know you guys like seeing me put myself in danger, so Hannah, Holwyn, done. Okay, Cardiff Daffif, done. Okay, just got to the top of Llywelyn, something like that. Cardiff Llewellyn. Cardiff Gwenllian. The last one, full for us. Welsh 3000 completed. I'm gonna get off of these damn mountains now. What an adventure. Welsh 3000 challenge, the hardest thing I've ever had to do. Till the next one, stay safe. It was my biggest adventure yet. Thinking about it and everything I learned from it and got out of that trip, I couldn't recommend it enough. Hell of an adventure. Those top 5 tips: reduce your pressure, stop, slow down, talk to people, appreciate your lows, no unnecessary risks, and finally, everything takes time. It's funny how all 5 of those tips, which I learnt from 3 days walking in the Welsh mountains, can be applied to every single aspect of my life. And that's why I love doing adventures. You learn so much about yourself. If you watched the whole video, thank you very much. I'd love to hear your take on it, whether it's suggestions for new kit or different kit, if you've got any questions, or if you've learned anything on your adventures that you want to share, please whack them in the comments below. Got some new adventures, some fun adventures coming up soon, weather permitting, and weather not permitting, I'm doing them anyway. So make sure you hit subscribe, hit the like button, then you won't miss them. That's a wrap from me. Thanks for watching, guys. Until the next one, stay safe. Eat tart.